I lived on Brunswick Terrace. We lived in the basement, and my grandparents and my parents, who I lived with, they had to provide the hot water, so we had the coke boiler down in the bottom. There was no bathroom. The toilet paper was the corners of the Daily Herald, which was a socialist newspaper. And it was, honestly, because you couldn't get the paper. You couldn't get it. You had to reuse it, use and double use. Oh, yes. And the house itself was really damp, and you actually had fungus growing on the walls. Oh. And is it little wonder that my grandfather died of bronchitis? Yeah, all that bronchial trouble. I'm all right. Okay. I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna make it to 80. That's it. But it wasn't good. It wasn't good. But that was the way things were, and there was no way they were ever going to pull down Brunswick Terrace. Even then, there was always preservation order on it, but it was not good. It was not good. So I know what it's like to live. And it was lovely. It was all dark. It was all spooky. But it was interesting because my interest in photography also mushroomed, pardon the pun, as well with the fungus. But we had this. They had cellars there where you could black it all out. And my mother was very interested in photography, and that's where I got my interest in photography. That's what you've seen there.
How's your house? How's your old house compared to your house now?
Oh. In fact, where I am now is a 1920s bungalow, but it's glorious compared with where I used to live. Absolutely wonderful. I've got a lovely garden as well, because that's another thing you miss. I don't know who you've got where you live, if you've got gardens or... you suppose simple things like gardens. You didn't have them there, because you're all back-to-back houses.
How would you say Brighton has changed from how it was to how you remember it as a child?
It's changed hugely. I think now, I was thinking when I saw, you might be asking me that, I thought, how do I think it's changed? There's loads more traffic, lots more cars, lots more traffic jams, lots more buses, loads more cycle lanes. We didn't have cycle lanes. Lots more people, loads of foreign students. We didn't have as many foreign students when I was growing up, and now as soon as you get to March, between March and September, loads of foreign students, lots more visitors, I suppose because transport is better, they can come down from London more easily, but there's so many more traffic jams, and parking is just impossible in Brighton, isn't it? I'm sure if you've got cars. Yeah. So I'm sure if you've got cars, your parents are always complaining that it's so difficult to park. So I think that's very different. What else would I say? I think you've got more facilities now than we had. I mean, we did have a skating rink, and I feel sad that you haven't got one because we loved ice skating.
We get one annually at Pavilion.
Every year.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
That's right, yes, outside for Christmas. But I think you've got a lot more opportunities of sports that you can play and sports centres. We didn't have, like at the marina. The marina didn't exist when I was little. There was a swimming pool there called Black Rock, and we loved it. It was an outdoor swimming pool, and we loved going there. But we didn't have all those things like the bowling alley there is at the marina. And yes, and all the cinemas. You've got 12 cinemas or so there. We didn't have that. We did have cinemas, but they were individual ones. There were about 13 individual cinemas in Brighton. There's, do you know where the Astoria is? You probably don't know where it is, on the way down to the Old Steam, just as you go past St Peter's Church.
I think I know. My mum's taken me down there before, but I can't
Well, it's derelict now, but they're not allowed to knock it down because it's a listed building.
Doesn't it have like a pair of legs on there with white, black striped tights?
Oh, you're thinking of the Duke of York cinema. Yes,
yeah.
that was another cinema, yes. But there were about 12 or 13 independent cinemas, and now all those have gone, and they've been made into big complexes. So you go to the Odeon and you can go to about 6 different films, or you go to the Marina and there's probably 8 or 10 different films.
Apparently you used to get really good value for money going to the cinemas in those days.
You had a much longer programme, so you'd have a secondary film on as well. And when I was really little, well, I suppose about 8 or 9, we went to something called the ABC Minors, and you'd go there, your parents would drop you off, and you'd go in and you'd watch, and there might be an organist playing. So you had that, and you'd have your sweets, and all the kids would be shouting and screaming, and then you'd watch a sort of cartoon film, and then there might be another supporting film, and then the main film would come on. So yes, I think it was better value for money than nowadays.
Can you tell us about your teenage years growing up in Brighton?
Yes, before I left to go to Westlain, I was in the Brownies at Patcham, but I never became a guide, and so Westlain was like my whole place of being. And then in the holidays, I was 3 miles from Brighton, and my best friend was 3 miles the other side of Brighton, in Rottingdean. So we used to write to each other, and you could get 2 letters in the post because there were several postal services then. So, but we used to go to the cinemas in Brighton, and then later on I used to go dancing and ice skating, a wonderful sports stadium down West Street. And that was a wonderful ice rink, and of course we went on Sundays to ice hockey and watched Brighton Tigers play. So it's been a great gap in the years, I think. I know there was another ice rink that sort of tried to take its place, but nothing was those facilities. It was very rough and ready, but it was wonderful.